In a world filled with uncertainty, today's headlines reveal critical developments that could shape the future. From geopolitical tensions to economic shifts, each story carries weight. Here are today's top 10 stories you need to know. A new space exploration mission has been launched, aiming to study the surface of Mars in unprecedented detail. The mission, organized by an international coalition of space agencies, will utilize advanced technology to gather data on the Martian landscape. Background context reveals that Mars has been a focal point for scientific research, particularly regarding the potential for past life. The impact of this mission could be significant, as it may provide insights into the planet's history and its suitability for future human exploration. As the spacecraft embarks on its journey, scientists are excited about the possibilities that await. This mission marks another step toward expanding our understanding of the universe. The next few months will be crucial as data begins to be transmitted back to Earth. Severe flooding has hit several countries in Southeast Asia, displacing thousands and causing widespread destruction. Heavy monsoon rains have led to rising water levels, inundating homes and infrastructure. Background context shows that this region is prone to flooding, particularly during the monsoon season. The impact is dire, with humanitarian organizations mobilizing to provide aid and support to affected communities. Many families are now facing food and water shortages as they seek refuge from the rising waters. As the situation develops, local governments are working to assess damage and coordinate rescue efforts. The world is watching as international aid begins to arrive, but the urgency of the crisis cannot be understated. The coming days are critical as communities begin to rebuild and recover. The United States and its allies have announced new economic sanctions against Iran in response to its ongoing nuclear program. These measures aim to significantly limit Iran's capacity to develop nuclear weapons, escalating an already tense situation. The backdrop of these sanctions includes years of heightened tensions, particularly following the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal, which was designed to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions in exchange for economic relief. The imposition of these sanctions is projected to further strain Iran's economy, restricting its access to vital international markets and foreign investments. Analysts caution that the economic fallout may lead to increased regional instability, potentially affecting global oil prices and security dynamics in the Middle East. As diplomatic discussions continue, experts emphasize the need for a balanced approach. The upcoming negotiations will be crucial in determining whether a peaceful resolution can be achieved or if further escalations will ensue. World leaders have come together to finalize a new climate agreement aimed at reducing carbon emissions significantly over the next decade. This historic agreement was reached during a summit held in Paris, where representatives from over 150 nations gathered. The urgency of addressing climate change has never been more pronounced, as recent reports indicate alarming trends, including rising global temperatures and an increase in extreme weather events. The impact of this agreement could be profound, as it includes commitments to invest in renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power, alongside sustainable agricultural practices. Experts believe that this collective action may represent a crucial turning point in the global fight against climate change, potentially leading to a more sustainable future. As nations begin to implement their pledges, the focus now shifts to ensuring compliance and establishing mechanisms for accountability. Looking ahead, successful collaboration and innovative solutions will be essential to achieving the ambitious goals set forth in this landmark agreement. Major cities across the globe are witnessing widespread protests demanding urgent police reforms following a series of highly publicized incidents of violence involving law enforcement. Demonstrators are calling for increased accountability and transparency within police agencies, emphasizing the need for systemic changes. This movement is rooted in a growing public awareness of the deep-seated issues within policing, accelerated by social media platforms that amplify voices and experiences of those affected. The impact of these protests is profound, as they compel governments to reevaluate existing policies and the allocation of resources toward law enforcement. In response, local leaders in various regions have begun proposing new legislation aimed at reforming policing practices, including measures to enhance community oversight and de-escalation training. The situation remains charged, with advocates for reform facing resistance from those who believe in maintaining traditional law enforcement methods. As the movement gains momentum, it is evident that the demand for justice and meaningful change will shape future discussions on public safety and community relations. The United States has reported its highest inflation rate in over 40 years, reaching 8.7% this month. This alarming surge is primarily driven by rising energy costs, exacerbated by geopolitical tensions and ongoing supply chain disruptions from the pandemic. Citizens are feeling the pinch as everyday expenses, including food and transportation, continue to rise, leading to increased pressure on policymakers to take decisive action. Background context reveals that inflation has been a growing concern since the pandemic began, with recovery efforts hampered by various global factors, including labor shortages and increased demand. The impact is widespread, affecting everything from grocery bills to housing costs, squeezing household budgets across the nation. Federal Reserve officials are considering potential interest rate hikes to combat inflation, which may slow economic growth. As debates intensify, the public is demanding actionable solutions to ease financial burdens. Economists warn that if inflation persists at these levels, it could lead to a recession, making it imperative for the government to act swiftly and effectively in the coming months. China has announced new regulations aimed at tightening control over technology companies operating within its borders. This significant policy shift comes in response to escalating concerns about data privacy and cybersecurity threats that have plagued the industry. The new rules mandate that companies undergo rigorous audits and provide comprehensive reports detailing their data handling practices. This regulatory environment has emerged against the backdrop of several high-profile data breaches that have raised alarms both domestically and internationally. The impact of these regulations could be profound, as the compliance burden may stifle innovation and hinder growth within the tech sector. Investors are responding cautiously, with shares of major Chinese tech companies experiencing volatility in recent trading sessions. Furthermore, as these regulations are implemented, the global tech landscape may also feel the effects as international firms adapt to emerging compliance requirements. Looking ahead, the Chinese government's commitment to regulating technology may reshape the industry, pushing companies towards greater transparency and accountability in their operations. Global food prices have surged dramatically, with a staggering increase of 15% reported in just the last month. This sharp rise is attributed to a confluence of factors, including severe weather events that have devastated crops and persistent supply chain disruptions stemming from the pandemic. Farmers worldwide are grappling with the dual challenge of rising costs and an inability to meet soaring demand, resulting in significant shortages across various regions. This situation is particularly dire in countries already facing food insecurity, where access to basic nutrition has become increasingly strained. The impact of these rising food prices is especially harsh on low-income households, who typically allocate a larger share of their income to food purchases. As consumer prices continue to escalate, there are growing concerns about potential civil unrest in affected nations, where hunger and poverty often fuel social instability. Experts warn that without swift government intervention and strategic policy measures, the crisis may deepen, leading to widespread humanitarian challenges. Looking ahead, immediate action is critical to stabilize food markets and prevent further deterioration of the global food security landscape. A powerful earthquake measuring 7.2 struck southern Turkey early this morning, leading to widespread destruction across the region. Initial reports indicate significant damage in several towns, with buildings collapsed and many residents trapped beneath rubble. Emergency services are currently deployed to conduct urgent rescue operations, while local hospitals are overwhelmed with injured individuals. Turkey is located in a seismically active zone, making such earthquakes a persistent threat, with the last major quake occurring nearly a decade ago. The impact of this disaster is devastating, with early estimates suggesting that thousands could be affected, both in terms of physical injuries and loss of homes. International aid offers are starting to come in, as neighboring countries, including Greece and Syria, pledge support to assist in recovery efforts. Local authorities are urging residents to remain vigilant for aftershocks, which could complicate relief operations and pose additional risks to those already affected. As rescue teams work tirelessly, the nation holds its breath, hoping for miraculous recoveries amidst the chaos. Looking ahead, officials are emphasizing the need for resilience and preparedness, as rebuilding efforts will be crucial in the aftermath of this tragic event and community support will play a vital role in recovery. Recent military movements in Eastern Europe have raised alarms among NATO allies, particularly with the buildup of Russian troops near the Ukrainian border. This alarming situation has prompted emergency meetings in Brussels, where NATO officials are discussing the implications of these developments. In response, NATO has reaffirmed its commitment to defend member states against any potential aggression. The backdrop to this crisis includes a long-standing conflict in the region, highlighted by Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, an event that significantly altered the geopolitical landscape and heightened tensions between Russia and Western nations. The impact of these developments extends beyond military concerns. Analysts suggest that economic sanctions may follow if tensions escalate further, potentially crippling the Russian economy. Experts warn that if diplomatic efforts fail, this could lead to a larger confrontation, risking stability in Europe. The situation remains fluid, with nations closely monitoring the potential fallout. NATO leaders are preparing for a pivotal summit next week, where the primary focus will be on developing strategies for a peaceful resolution to this crisis. The stakes are high, as continued escalations could destabilize the entire region. As such, the coming days will be critical in determining whether diplomatic channels can prevail over military posturing, with hopes that dialogue can pave the way for a resolution. Thank you for watching. Which story shocked you the most? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.